from never being able to save a single dollar to saving over $20,000 in under 18 months. And I'm here to tell you guys how I was able to do it all. Just keep on watching if you want to know how. You're probably wondering, like,
what's the secret? How are all these people saving money? They must be rich. They must have a lot of income. They must have a sugar daddy.
I've never had a sugar daddy in my life. Maybe you're thinking there's some type of magic or secret sauce. I'm really here to just debunk all of that. I want to explain to you guys some of the key principles that I learned that helped me to be able to not just save money, but have a better relationship with money overall. So in order to explain to you guys the remedy and the solution, I really think it makes sense to peel back the layers and unveil the root cause of why it was that I was struggling to save money for all these many years of my life. At the time that I made a decision to start saving my money, everything that had happened prior to that moment was just a lack of accountability and a lack of awareness. First thing that I did not have was an awareness about how much I was spending. My relationship with money was very, very toxic. I did not have the wisdom and the tools and the understanding of what type of relationship I should have with my money. And therefore, I treated my bank account as a port where money comes in and money goes out. It was just literally a revolving door. I did not have instructions for my money, and money is fleeting. I'll tell you this, if you do not tell it where to go, it's gonna go. What I didn't understand was that there are rules to money, and I just didn't know the rules, and therefore I could not regulate. I was living at home at this time prior to, really making the decision to start saving. And besides for my cell phone bill and maybe some credit card bills, which is really a bill that I racked up myself, I really didn't have a lot of other expenses. And so when I would get paid, the first thing I would do is go to happy hour every Friday with my coworkers, spend money on drinks and food and entertainment. Then I would probably shop over the weekend. Monday through Friday, I was buying breakfast out, I was buying lunch out, and a lot of times I would also order DoorDash, Uber Eats. So literally I was eating out, 3 meals a day, 5, 6, 7 days a week. On the weekends, I was doing brunch. I was taking Ubers everywhere. I was just spending my money frivolously and not really, like I said, giving it instructions on where to go and how to grow. So again, I did not realize that I was spending so much money because this was all I knew. This was the lifestyle that I had adopted. And I did not have anybody in my environment that was really holding me accountable. Everybody else around me also lived at home and was down, was with it, wanted to go out for drinks, wanted to go to brunch, wanted to go to day parties, wanted to, get in an Uber. So there was no accountability. There was nobody around me telling me hey, listen, you are spending money unnecessarily and you could be doing yourself so much more justice if you just understood some of these rules. So I'm going to jump into some of the rules in just a moment, but I really want you guys to understand that a lot of times we think that we cannot save our money, and it's really just because we don't have an awareness on how we're spending it, and we don't have accountability. Nobody next to us that is living a different lifestyle and actually delegating their money, saving it, investing it. We're just going to be the product of our environment. But what I really want to highlight is not these big expenses that are so obvious. Obviously, if I spend $500 at Zara every time I get paid, yes, I'm not going to be able to save money. And it's very apparent why I'm not saving money. But I want to highlight something called the Latte Factor. I learned this term from David Bach. He has a book called The Automatic Millionaire, which absolutely has changed my life, my mindset, how I view money, how I think about what we do with our money, and how our situation could be so much more different. And he talks about the Latte Factor and just this overall idea of consumerism that is so insidious. And I really want to talk about that. For me, I was spending a lot of money on food and transportation, and I did not realize that the little bit that I kept spending and saying oh, it's just $5, oh, it's just $12, was adding up. And that's really what we call a Latte Factor. In the book, he describes how there's a woman that goes to Starbucks every morning and she spends, $5 on a coffee and a muffin. And it seems very inconsequential. And in an isolated way, it is inconsequential. But when you do that, and that becomes part of your regular lifestyle, when there are ways that you can have alternatives, then that is where the Latte Factor comes in. Think about it like this, right? A $5 coffee and muffin doesn't seem like a big deal. But if you do that 5 days a week, $5 a day times, let's call it 5 days a week, is $25. If you multiply that by 50 weeks a year, let's say 2 weeks a year you're on vacation and you're not going to Starbucks, that's about $1,250 worth of just coffee and muffins. And I know that we love Starbucks, but where it becomes a problem is where we are trying to save or trying to expand our income or trying to grow our money. And we are not aware that these small choices that we're making every day have large consequences. 1 year is $1,250. If you do that for 10 years, that's $12,500. $12,500 over the 10 years might also not seem like a big deal. But if you would have put that in a simple investment account and let it appreciate, let's just say 10% every year, for the course of those same 10 years, you could have doubled your money, and that's something like $25,000. So this is really going to do nothing else but require you to have a level of awareness first and foremost. If you are just expecting magic to happen and no sacrifices to be made, then you are really, really just mistaken. I'll be honest. I had to do a lot of things differently in order to achieve this. But guess what? At the end of the day, it felt so good to be able to say, like, wow, like I just saved $20,000 and it hasn't even been 2 years yet. I'm going to break down the 6 ways to use a dollar. The first thing you're going to do with every dollar that comes into your bank account is allocate 10% to yourself. Now, this might seem like a no-brainer. Of course, our money is our money, so we're going to spend a portion of it on ourselves. But the key here is 10%. When I was a teacher, the last W-2 job that I had, I left off making about $3,200 a month. So in essence, 10% of that on a monthly basis meant that no more than $320 of that money should have went to me, whether I wanted to do my nails with it, go to brunch, do whatever, get in the Uber. Only $320 of that monthly income should have been allotted to just me. I was spending so much more than 10% of my income on myself. And this is where one of the biggest problems came to be. So if you're like, y'all, I live a rock star lifestyle, I can't survive off of $320 a month, then you really have to do an inventory of yourself and what your values are. Because if you really want to save towards something bigger, this is where the sacrifice comes in. Maybe you don't need to go shopping every single month, but if you have a certain amount of income and 10% of it goes to you and you do the rest of what I'm about to tell you, then you should really not have much trouble doing what I did. The second thing you're going to designate your money to is 10% you're going to give away. Now, this is very controversial. I even did a poll one time on my Instagram asking, like, do you guys tithe or do philanthropic things with your money? Do you give it away? The results were alarmingly high in favor of, like, nah, my money is for me. And I get it. We work hard for our money. But the reason why this is so important, and he even talks about it in the Automatic Millionaire, is like what we give back is our rent for being here on this earth. This is just a universal law that as you start to make contributions and serve in this world that we live in, you are going to get rewarded for that. Now, that's not to say be manipulative and just go into a church and give money hoping that you're going to like get tenfold back. Like your heart really needs to be in the right place, and that's going to take some heart work on your own. But just understand that if you are finding yourself having constant money issues, ask yourself, like, do I give money away? And I'm not saying go out there and just save the world. 10%. The keys here are the percentages attached to it. So 10% giveaway. It does not have to be to a church. I know when I first started tithing, I gave 10% of my income to my parents. The money is not ours to begin with, right? We wouldn't even have it if it wasn't for God providing. So again, you don't have to give it to a church if that's not where you want to give it to at the moment, but you do need to release some of your money. The third way that you should be using every dollar that comes into your bank account is your living expenses. 25% of all your income should go towards living expenses. That includes rent, vehicles, utilities, anything that is required for you to live and be a productive member of society, okay? All the extra lifestyle things are not part of living expenses. That's going to bleed into the personal / you category. I live in New York City, so I know that majority of people, that is just not the case for them, right? In fact, probably 75% of their income, if not 90%, goes towards living expenses. And a lot of times people are like, yo, like, how am I supposed to make this change? And there's two things you can do in this scenario. You can find ways to increase your income, whether that's getting a side hustle or doing some of the other things that I'm going to tell you about in just a few minutes, or you can lower your lifestyle. A lot of times when we get a raise or we get a bonus or our income increases, what we tend to do is we tend to increase our lifestyle as well, rather than keeping our lifestyle the same, so that there is actually a gap between, our lifestyle and what we're making, so we can finally get ahead. But more times than not, when people get more money, they end up just spending more of it. So find a way to either increase your income or cut back on your living expenses. And I know that's easier said than done, but that's why this is going to be, it's going to take work to get to this level and to really build a positive relationship with money. Okay, the next way you're going to want to spend every dollar that comes to you is by designating, by delegating, by allocating, it's one of those words, okay, 25% towards taxes. Now, this gets a little shaky because a lot of times people are already getting 30 to 33% of their money taken away for taxes. So if you are a W-2 employee, someone that taxes comes out first, this doesn't really apply to you. This more so applies to self-employed or business owners, because your money usually comes to you in the form of gross income. So you have to be responsible and delegate a certain amount to taxes, so that when it's tax season, you are not getting in trouble. Of course, if you have a good CPA or accountant, you are able to keep and manage some of your expenses, your business expenses, and get them written off, so where maybe you get some of that back and you don't have to give all the 25%. Next way that you're going to want to spend every dollar that comes into your account is about 15% on savings and investing. Now, this is where we start talking about saving. Like I said, there are rules to money, so you have to save some of it. This is just a rule of thumb. And it's easier said than done, which is why you probably clicked this video in the first place. I want to explain to you the difference between savings and investing, but 15% of it should go towards the general account, if you will, that falls under this umbrella of savings and investing. Saving is honestly not the best thing you should do. You should have a strategy for how much you want to save, just to have cash flow in case of anything. And then after that, the rest of it should be put towards an appreciating asset, like the financial market, like real estate, something that's going to allow your money to grow. So you want to have at least 6 months, in my opinion, a year's worth of living expenses put away in the bank, not in any type of risky situation, just sitting there as available cash flow before you start to invest. Now, I don't know what that looks like for you, but if you do the math and you calculate all your living expenses, multiply that by 6, in my opinion, by 12, that is the amount of money that you should have saved up before you begin making investments. Now, once you have that amount saved up, it doesn't make sense to just save and save and save and save. Why? Because money is actually depreciating as time goes on, right? A dollar right now is not going to be worth the same thing in 10 years. So if you just do nothing with your money, it's actually going to start to lose value over time. But you do want to have some safe money just in case. But you do want to invest anything thereafter, because investing is a way to multiply and grow your money, so that you're not continuing to have this linear relationship with money where the only way that you can get it is by putting in work and you are the sole proprietor of that income. If it's just up to you and you're the only way that you can make money, and you're not finding ways to have money grow for you while you're sleeping, while you're away from it, then if wealth is something that you truly want, it's likely not going to happen if you're just working. The last way that you are going to want to delegate your money is 15% reinvesting back into your business. If you are an employee and you're like, well, I don't have a business, you want to think about how you can start leveraging your own skills, your own passions to start a business, because this is another way and another source of income that you're going to be bringing in that maybe just having a job is not going to be able to provide for you. However, when you do start to grow and establish a business, you need to reinvest 15% of whatever profits you make back into the business, because that's how you're going to actually scale over time. If you're just taking every bit of profit that comes in and spending it and doing other things that have nothing to do with actually growing the business, you're going to find yourself at a standstill. Those are the 6 ways that you're going to want to use every dollar that comes into your account. 10%, 10%, 25, 25, 15, 15. And if my math is correct, that should add up to 100%. Okay, guys? So why did I even go through these 6 ways to use a dollar? Well, because when I learned this, it really helped me to see that, of course, if my money doesn't know where to go, it's just going to go towards spending. And I'm just going to do things that are entertaining, that make me feel good, that give me that dopamine hit versus really being tactical and practical and giving it some place to go. Imagine if you were a business owner and you had employees, but you didn't tell them what to do. They would probably just spend the whole shift on their phone, scrolling through Instagram, doing whatever they wanted to do, messing around with each other, but you have not given them a task. So you can't even be upset that they are not performing to their optimum. You have to have that same mindset when it comes to money. Like, if you don't tell your money where to go, guess what? We are consumers by nature. We're just going to end up spending it. Now, with that being said, guys, automation saves nations. With everything that I just told you, you have to find a way to automate it. Think about it like this. The government automatically takes their cut out of your paycheck before you get a chance to touch it, because they know that if they were to leave it up to you, you would not give them their cut. So if the government knows that they need to get their money out of our hands first, we need to understand that about ourselves as well. We are literally wired to spend money. So if you do not find a way to automate everything that I just told you, you're going to find yourself having a really hard time saving. And this is why I think I was really able to save, because one, I had an accountability partner when it came to saving my money. And two, I had my money automatically taken out and delegated every single month to a different account, an account that it was going to be really hard for me to have access to. And that is another thing. Proximity is going to make it easy for you to spend it. So if you're saving your money and it's just literally right in your checkings account, that is a no-no. A lot of employers do this, where if you receive direct deposit, you can actually disperse your paycheck into other accounts. You can actually say, hey, take a certain percentage and put it into this checkings, or take a certain percentage and put it into this savings. And you can have that done before it's even Friday and that direct deposit hits. So automating it and making sure that it's far away from you as possible. If you have a bank card attached to that savings account, that's a no, because you're probably going to swipe. So you need to find a way to make it as hard for you to spend that money as possible. And I promise you, you are going to start to see changes. I myself am not a financial advisor, but I have changed my life and I have changed my relationship with money. And I really just want to say this. It doesn't matter how much income you have. If you just begin to implement those practices, what you do with what you have now is going to be indicative of what you'll do with more later. So if you say like, okay, I'll just wait until I have a six-figure income to start doing everything that she just said, no, you're just probably going to do more of what you're already doing now. So start to implement these with what you have now, so that as your income starts to increase, you don't find yourself falling back into malignant money habits. Okay, guys. So I thank you guys for watching. Smash that like button. Be sure to subscribe. And if you like content like this, check out my other videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.